Welcome to Educate, Inform, and Challenge. My name is Teresa MacLennan. I'm the Executive Director here at the Women and Children's Shelter of Barrie. We are so glad that you are with us here today. You know, the purpose of our show is to talk about, of course, the lives and experiences of women. We talk about women in leadership and decision-making, politics. We talk about violence against women, mental health and substance abuse, a real wide range. And we always want to try to create a forum to showcase and educate our community about the great work that's happening by individuals and agencies in our community. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Before we begin, we do want to acknowledge and thank our Indigenous community. Thank you for your heritage, your culture. Thank you for your history and allowing us to share in this space, to have these conversations. And we just really thank you so much. So today, I am thrilled to introduce my friend, Amanda Fellows. And Amanda is with Catholic Family Services of Simcoe County. Welcome, Amanda.
Thank you. Thanks, Teresa. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, I am as well. I've been looking forward to our conversation because I know the great work that you and your agency do in our community and really, really want to showcase that today. So why don't we start there? Can you talk to us about your agency and the work that you do in the community?
Sure. So Catholic Family Services has been a part of the community for a long time, over 40 years, and our services have certainly changed and evolved with time, which I think is amazing. I think ultimately we kind of have three streams of service, and so we certainly provide counseling and psychotherapy. That's something we've been most known for. Our walk-in counseling clinics have been utilized by many people across the county, and our partners know most about that. Our second stream of service is the Partner Assault Response Program, or the PAR program. And so we've been offering that for quite a number of years now. And so we do that. And then in my world of things is community programs. And so kind of all the other stuff we do falls under my portfolio. And so we look to kind of address gaps in the community and fill those in different ways.
So I think I want to clarify this for the folks who are listening. In your name, Catholic Family Services, you do not have to be Catholic to access your services.
You do
correct?
not.
You
Yes.
do not.
That's
and I
correct.
know that, I've lived in Barrie my whole entire life, and longer than Catholic Family Services has been around, but certainly I have known of your agency my whole life since I've been here and know the great work that you do. Talk to us about the services and the clients that you see coming to access your services.
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. I mean, certainly, so just generally, we service anybody 12 and up. And so if you're looking for some kind of service or counseling specifically, you could come through our doors to access those services. Our clients are very diverse in the sense that we see both men and women, we see gender fluid folks, we see anybody from the 2S LGBTQ community. We support people from various or presenting with various challenges, from anxiety and depression to anger, relationship issues, family dynamics. And so our services are very broad, and the people we have coming through the door really range and are varied. But yeah, which has been really interesting to watch. I mean, we certainly have grown as an agency, even over the last couple of years through COVID. And yeah, it's been a really cool experience. I've been with the agency just about 11 years now. And so I've watched that growth and development. And it's great to see more and more people understand that, you know, we are a low barrier service. You don't have to be Catholic to access those services, which is a common misconception and one we're always trying to chat about. So grateful to have this opportunity today, Teresa, to chat about that piece too, because we want people to know that you can walk through the store and that religion has no part in that.
It sounds like there really is there's no barriers. There's no, you have to be a certain person in your place of life to access your service, that is really open to everyone to walk through the door. And I love when your agency moved in that direction of drop-in services. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Because I think that is just such a wonderful place to be in terms of offering services.
Yeah. And I think, you know, that same day access to service is really important. I mean, certainly you do that in the shelter world from a crisis perspective. And so recognizing that when people are in need, they're in need oftentimes in the moment. And so how do we support them and meet them where they're at in that moment? And that's kind of where the evolution of walk-in clinics came from, is that, you know, recognizing that people can't wait, you know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 months to get support around mental health or substance use or any of those elements. And so the walk-in clinics certainly have met that need. And right now our clients are, for the most part, getting same day or next day service.
And you know what I'm thinking about, which I never really linked the two things together, but having that kind of drop-in service where folks can come who have an immediate need, they may have typically have gone to the hospital if they needed support. And I just sort of just made that connection in my mind about what a great support that is, and maybe diverting to the most appropriate place for that kind of help, which is you.
Yeah. And that's a great point. I wish I had the stats in front of me, but that's one of the questions we ask people, like when we're collecting outcomes on our services, wanting to ensure that they're, you know, impactful services. We ask clients, you know, where would you have gone in the event that the walk-in clinic wasn't available? And to a doctor or the emergency room is the most popular response. And so certainly the walk-in clinics have helped to alleviate some of the stress on the, you know, in the health field by diverting clients from emergency rooms to the walk-in clinic.
I think that is really great for our community to know, because I think the link to that is always what we need to say as agencies that may have to do fundraising, is the importance of funding, you know, fundraising and supporting agencies like you who are creating a different path of service that actually supports also our hospital. And so I think about the importance for folks to know that about how they can offer financial support to the work that you're doing, because it has effects on other layers in our community, let's say. So anyway, let's divert off of that, because, you know, I'm so stuck on it now because I'm so happy about it. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you and ask you just about mental health and substance use. Because we just know there's so many intersections for people in their lives, people who've experienced trauma. Can you just talk to us about what you're seeing from an agency perspective in terms of the needs in our community in those regards?
Yeah, it's huge. And I think certainly there's an intersection between mental health and substance use and so many other factors, right? We know like poverty, for example, economic class, all of those things intersect. And I think over COVID, you know, I know most of us are tired of talking about COVID, but it became, if it wasn't prevalent before, or you didn't notice it before, certainly we're feeling that now in the mental health world, in social services in general. I mean, we see that with increased rates of domestic violence and all of the other things. And so I think the last few years have been really, really hard on people. And so, you know, substance use has increased, mental health challenges have increased, and you know, people presenting with both elements, you know, or more than that, you know, so poverty and some mental health issues and substance use issues, those numbers have just gone up and up and up. It's really tough.
It's almost a pandemic in itself, I believe. And it was brewing. It's been brewing for a long time before COVID even came on the scene, you know, and it almost feels just like the cherry on top of it that's just tipped the scales, you know. So if you have someone who comes to your services, you know, walk-in clinic or just kind of a regular counseling, right? How do you wrap services around somebody?
Yeah, so I mean, certainly we have a very fulsome intake team that works with clients in order to be able to get them connected to all the places that they need to be. And we certainly are very big on advocacy and building bridges and community collaboration. We also have embarked on some new ventures around system navigation. So we're currently working on system navigation for youth and transitional aged youth. And over the last year have been doing system navigation for older adults. And so recognizing, you know, that when clients come in, say through the walk-in clinic, certainly they're presenting with a need around mental health, but oftentimes then plus, 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 and we want to be able to support folks in the best way. So when they come into intake, we may be addressing what they need to cover from a mental health perspective, but then we're also doing a fulsome overview of what are the other needs and where can we support them. And then certainly through system navigation, we take that even deeper in terms of supporting clients to fill out ODSP forms or, ensuring they get connected to the resource that we've referred them to. We follow up, we call, we advocate. So we're really trying to work that as much as we can, and community collaboration is key because we've been talking about some big picture system stuff today, but I think system transformation is also kind of at the top of our priority list in terms of where can we partner to make it easier for people to get access to the services they need and not have this kind of redundant process of retelling their story and or knocking on a bunch of doors and not knowing which one is the right one to open. So we certainly have been working hard in that area too.
I love that. And it's such a big piece of that is really kind of case management, directing and helping people, guide them to where it is that they need to be. And I love the piece that you just said about people not having to repeat the same information over and over. And it reminds me of something before we just head into a commercial. I'll share this with you. Many moons ago, I was an infant development caseworker, and I worked with families who had infants who were at risk of developmental delay or diagnosed. And parents, I would connect them with physio, occupational therapy, social work, school, nursery school. And there was a huge intake package that parents had to fill in. And they had to go over these horrendous stories that they had, maybe a birth story of their infant, Anyway, when I would refer them to one of those other therapies, they would have their own intake package. Mm-hmm. And the parents would need to repeat those terrible stories over and over again. Those parents said to us loud and clear, I don't want to have to keep doing this. Can't you share the information with each other to help me out? That's what the parents were telling us. So we created a central intake package where parents could say that information, share that information with one person. And then it was my job to make sure if we referred them on to physio, I shared that information so parents didn't have to go through that again. And I just love the different tools. I love seeing the progress of just how all of us as agencies have listened to our service users and adapted and changed our services to really meet their needs and listen to them. And it sounds like that is truly how you, as your agency and the work you do, is embracing that. So we're going to dive into this conversation even more. We're going to take a short commercial break. Please stay with us. We will be right back. Welcome back to our program. We're having a great conversation today with my friend Amanda Fellows. And we are just talking about Catholic Family Services in Simcoe County. We're talking about really this wraparound of services and supports that they offer, which is so needed and so valuable for all of us when we need support. And you know what? It is so great for us to acknowledge that we all can use support from time to time throughout our lives. Amanda, so you had mentioned earlier on something called the PAR program. And I mean, our community of listeners knows I'm from the Women and Children's Shelter. So the PAR program is sort of near and dear to my heart in aligning with the work that we do. Can you talk to our viewers? What is the PAR program? What's the purpose? Let's learn about that.
Sure. So the Partner Assault Response Program is a court-mandated program. So it's for offenders of domestic violence. Ultimately, kind of a big picture idea of what the PAR program is it looks to, create accountability for offenders of domestic violence and enhance victim safety, right? So we're looking at creating safety for women and children and ensuring that the male or the offender is held accountable for the actions.
So how does so an offender goes to court and the court orders that they have to participate in the program? Is that how that works?
Yes, or probation. So sometimes men come through either through the Crown at court or through a probation officer.
Do you see women participating in that program?
Yes, we do run women's groups, so that does happen. I mean, certainly the majority of our clients are identify as male, but yes, we do see women come through the program too.
Can you talk to us about what is it that you always hope to achieve with the PAR program? Like, what is your ultimate goal for the participants?
Really, I mean, ultimately, it's to reduce violence, right? That's kind of the big picture, hope, and outcome, and just increase safety for women and children, for sure.
So, do you see successes? Is there movement that happens for the participants in terms of their understanding of their relationship, their actions? Talk to us about even the difficulties to have somebody have that awareness.
I think you see really varying levels of engagement and motivation, right? Which is, I mean, is pretty characteristic of mandated type programs. I mean, when you think about the actual content that PAR covers, certainly it really looks at kind of forms of violence, creating awareness that physical violence isn't the only type of violence that can occur or abuse that can occur in a relationship. It really, highlights the impacts of abuse on children and partners. It looks at kind of triggers and anger interventions and how to manage that. It looks at coping, respectful communication. What does a healthy relationship look like? Because I think ultimately, we have a lot of offenders coming through the program who also themselves come with a history of trauma and abuse and violence. And again, coming back to those intersections we talked about, a lot of substance use, mental health pieces, and certainly in PAR, we are consistently trying to highlight that, substance use or mental health are not, that abuse is a choice. They're not the causes, and we want people to be accountable for their actions. And so, the program aims to cover a lot of elements that we hope to drive home accountability, and that people will shift their perspective on, what their role was in that scenario.
I really do like that program because certainly here from the women's shelter, we're always encouraging women to use their voice and to tell their story, and we respect their bravery to be able to do that. And we believe that fosters change, but we also firmly believe that the voices and change in men as the primary perpetrators of abuse is critical to making real change happen, right? And it's a challenge to have men, use their voice. I mean, it's getting better, and we really want to hear from them, and we want to have an understanding about, in terms of an abuser, and you touched on this, the trauma that they also have experienced that is fostering actions.
Yeah. And, as an agency, we are hyper aware of that. I mean, we're working with these men and these families all the time. And, so part of the PAR program, Partner Assault Response Program, we have we work with the victims too, right? So we're working with the victims around safety planning, and we follow up with them around how the offender is doing in programs. So there's a level of accountability to the partner as well in terms of ensuring that they know that these are the things that are happening. But, as an agency, I talked a little bit about collaboration, external collaboration, but internally, we're also working across programs to kind of, build programming that either supports men post-par, because do have motivated men who want to do more things, outside of mandated programming. And then we also look at it from a prevention perspective. So, if we're looking at families who are at risk of domestic violence or couples who are at risk of domestic violence, what type of programming can we put in play upstream too? So certainly this year we launched a program called Hold Me Tight, which is focused on is emotion-focused therapy from Sue Johnson, but it's a couples program that looks at emotional connection and safety in relationships and sexual safety in relationships. And there's a lot of outcomes we look to generate from the program. So we ran one group. We're going to run another group in the fall, and we hope to integrate some of that model too from a PAR prevention perspective, if we can increase emotional safety and connection in relationships. And it goes back to attachment and historic elements, recognizing that what we learn as children, we also bring into adult relationships. And so, we're trying to get ahead of it, push it upstream in ways that we can. But also there's a real element around sometimes when guys finish PAR, couples decide to stay together. And so what's the support that we're putting in place for those couples that do stay together so that we can link back to the whole overall goal of PAR around, reducing violence and enhancing safety. So we're really trying to come at it internally too from some other perspectives.
I never knew about that program called Hold Me Tight. And so I'm really glad that you mentioned that and talked about that. And, in alignment, excuse me, to what you're talking about, we support a lot of women in our outreach services who are living with someone who has abused them. They want the relationship to work. They want to be with that person. They recognize the goodness in that person. And how can we support that safety plan? But our piece is with the women. And I am so appreciative of the work that you're doing with both men and women, because it's crucial that both of them need to be working at the relationship to foster it better, right? And I love that. How do people become involved with the Hold Me Tight program?
So they can call the agency and get on the list for Hold Me Tight. So like I mentioned, we just finished one group, so we'll pick another group back up in the fall. So excited about that. And I guess one other piece to mention is that couples, so that Hold Me Tight is 8 sessions long. So they participate in an 8-session, 2-hour group. So they get that process, but then they're also offered counseling following group. So the couples we've had that just finished Hold Me Tight, now they're going to be going into psychotherapy for another 8 sessions. So it's a really nice collaboration between kind of that psychoeducation group work stuff in my world of things and marrying that with psychotherapy, and then really taking it from like a big picture perspective on relationships to a really individualized what's happening in your specific relationship perspective and working on those elements. So collaboration across programs.
That's amazing, because I think that that's what clients want from us as agencies. And I love the continuum of support, that you don't just participate in this program and it's over. You're going to be followed and supported through the journey of that, which I think is absolutely amazing. So really kudos to you and your agency for the movement that you're making to address the needs of individuals and families in our community. I think it's terrific, Amanda.
Oh, thanks.
We only have about 5 minutes left. Our time has gone by so fast, as I knew it would. If there is someone listening today and they're hearing about the wealth of programs and services that you offer, but they're scared, maybe they've been burned from other services and things like that, what would you say to them?
I would say give it another shot. I mean, certainly, I mean, I know that's very broad, but I mean, I've worked for the agency for 11 years. We have a stellar staff team of clinicians and intake workers and people in PAR, and we work really hard to create an environment that people want to come back to, an environment where they feel heard and validated and understood. And we work really hard to reduce stigma around mental health. And so, I would say if you're looking for support, please walk through the door or call. We have a very hybrid model of service right now. You can attend virtual webinars if you want to dip your toe in it. You can call in and get a counseling session over the phone or through virtual service, or you can walk into a clinic and come in person. So if you've been burned before, I would encourage you to reach out again because it's important, and there's lots of ways to connect.
Yeah, I think those were great words of wisdom, because this time, if someone reaches out, it could stick and it could be exactly what it is that they're looking for. In terms of, just so that we're clear about that, is there a cost for some of the programs? How does that look?
No, so the walk-in clinic, like the sessions through the walk-in clinic are totally free. So there's no fee for service. And all of the kind of virtual stuff we do online, from webinars to groups right now are not at a cost. So yeah, so you can come in for free and get a counseling session for free.
So how does someone get in touch with your agency for that initial start point? Is there a phone number, website? How do they get in touch and find out more?
So you can check out the website if you want to look at the full list of kind of groups and workshops we offer. And there's a pathway to register through Eventbrite on there. So, you can also call the agency, or we also have launched a new piece, onedoor.ca. So if you go to that website, onedoor.ca, you can book a counseling session directly through that website. So go to onedoor.ca, check out the website, and we'll get you connected.
Okay, I'm writing that down, onedoor.ca. And can you tell us the phone number, Amanda?
Yes, 705-726-2503.
Perfect. Well, I just want to thank you so much. We have a half an hour show. You were able to cover so much wonderful information for our community. And I really hope that if there is someone who's listening today who just really feels like, I feel like I need someone to talk to, but I don't know where to start, please reach out to Catholic Family Services of Simcoe County. They have a wealth of services. They are here to help you, and they have history, knowledge, and expertise. Trust them and trust that they would be able to help you. We understand the difficulties that life can bring, and you have support. And Amanda, again, thank you so, so much. I think we need to have another conversation because there's just so much that we could talk about. You are a joy to talk to. And I want to thank our community, as always, for coming alongside us in this journey. And if you are ever looking for an agency that you want to get behind and you want to provide funds to the valuable work that they do, we would really encourage you and ask you to think about Catholic Family Services of Simcoe County. All agencies need your support. They're doing great work. Please get behind them and help them to help the community and to help you. Again, thank you so much for being with us, everyone. We will see you next time. Take care and bye-bye.